this might be the last time we do this, or at least for basketball, because we're going to be doing a lot more. But it's the NBA Final Preview Show here at WinDailySports.com. It is Game 6 of the NBA Finals, and Ghost, it's an elimination game. It is an elimination game. We could see.
We have one more show. We have one more show because you know the Suns are going to take it tonight. But this thing on? Oh,
Come on. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Really? I actually, do we want to start there with the betting side? Like, how do you want to go with this? Because you're the one who just brought that up.
I'm not touching the game. I'm not touching the game because I'm doing props because I'm very confident. I'm the props guy.
That's fair.
And I just want to enjoy the game. Like, I don't want to be stressing about the useless 3 by Elijah Bryant when the Suns win by 20 or something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not down. So, yeah. You want to dive into the props right away?
Yeah, because I was going to take a side.
Okay, you take a side. I'll take a side. Well, I just said what side I'm on, but
I think Bucks win and cover.
Man, I don't have it in me. Then that's why I'm not betting because my brain is telling me bet the Bucks.
I do have it in me, Ghost. I do. I have all of it in me. I have the belief
CP3
and the best player on
ring.
the floor. Yeah, CP3 needs a ring, but CP3 also just maybe can't win a ring because he has been ghost. He has been a ghost. Ghost, okay? He's been an absolute ghost the past 3 games. And I'll ask you this because I don't know what it is. Is it just Chris Paul not playing well, or did they figure something out with that pick and roll or with Chris Paul? And I know at times you just can't stop a good shot, but I think they might have figured out a little bit of something to make him uncomfortable enough to be turning the ball over like he is.
Too much hero ball. As crazy as that sounds, to be calling one of the most selfless players to ever play the game, saying that he's playing hero ball kind of doesn't really go hand in hand, but that's what he's been doing. And it's almost like, he wants to say, well, if the Suns win, it's going to be, well, I carried the win, right? But and I know people are going to say, well, like if you're looking at box scores, you're going to say, well, Book is shooting the ball, 60 times a game and that he's not playing hero ball. He is. Watch the game. Chris Paul does not let the ball leave his hands for the second half. He does not give it up in the entire second half. So that's the thing. I think he kind of fixes that tonight. He's got to get to the mid-range. Like his mid-range, because so for anyone that's, I don't even want to say older out there because really it's just me. That's basically a baby. But like in recent memory, since I've been watching ball, so like since pretty much like, I don't know, when did I start watching basketball? Maybe I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. So maybe 2005. Chris Paul has arguably one of the best mid-range shots I've ever seen, or at least one of the most underrated. Like put it whatever way you want. Great.
Yeah.
There is nobody that's able to shoot off the dribble the way that he does and be able to shoot off his back foot like he does. Like watch tonight. I'm telling you, and I can't wait to tag you in this clip. I'm actually going to DM it to you. I won't tag you in. I'll DM it to you right away so you see it.
I thought you were going to tag me, expose me for something.
He does. No, that's why I don't want people I don't want people saying what is this tweet? In case for whatever reason, if they're not watching the show, which is a mistake, you got to be watching the show.
Yeah,
but
you should be.
Aiden rolls left, right? So he'll run a high screen to the left, and he's there. So he's facing the wall anyways, whatever, you get it. Where Chris Paul is supposed to go left off the high screen. And he goes right, and he has a little bit of a hesitation step inside of him, and then he takes a really awkward jump shot to the right off his back right foot, and it drops every time. He's got to be able to get to the mid range. I don't know how that shot really that's just Chris Paul working some wizardry right there, but he's got to get back to that, and he's got to give it up. In a situation where the play is to give up the ball, give up the ball. You can't afford to allow Giannis and Jrue Holiday to push the pace in transition. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. So he's got to find the mid-range, and he's got to give it up. When the play is to give it up, he has to.
So yeah, I guess that's my question. Is there are some things that Chris Paul does that like you can't stop, and obviously the mid-range game. Have they just been taking him off his spot? Have they been, forcing him into different spots that he's not comfortable with, out of the mid-range? I'm just asking because it has to be something, because Chris Paul just went from the best player in this series in the first 2 games to the point where everybody locked him in for MVP after game 2. And now he's been one of the worst players in this series, to the point where there were a lot of people calling for Chris Paul to be taken out late in that game, in game 5, I think it was, for campaign.
That's absurd.
Right, it sounds absurd, but like it was to a point. It's like, man, I kind of get it, because this guy is just, he's been hurting the team more than helping at this point. Like he really has been hurting that team. And
so
to me, I don't know if maybe if I'm relying too much on him, but I think this series has all been about Chris Paul. And if he plays well, the Suns are a great team and everything falls in place. But if he doesn't play well, it directly affects the wings. It directly affects DeAndre Ayton's offensive game. The only one it doesn't affect is Booker, because he can obviously do things one-on-one, ISO by himself. But Chris Paul gets everything else and everybody else going. And when he's not playing well, I feel like the Suns' offense just stalls way too much without him playing.
Well, that's exactly it. And I don't want to say that the Bucks figured it out. They've been doing things to, kind of slow him down. I don't even know if they realize that they have been. That's like, as crazy as that sounds, because them neutralizing Ayton by having a 6'11", 240-pound Giannis Antetokounmpo in the paint,
the most athletic player on the floor at that
like
height.
that is what's been hindering Chris Paul. And it's not that, well, he can't lob it up to Ayton, and this that we've seen Ayton go up for lobs. We've seen all kinds of stuff, even though Giannis absolutely stuffed him and arguably the play of the series. But what it does is that it forces Chris Paul to go to his second and third looks, which he's one of the best distributors of all time.
Yeah.
And no professional athlete likes that, whether it's a hockey player, whether it's a soccer player, whether it's a basketball player, anything like that. And even a pitcher in baseball, nobody wants to go to their second and third option. You have something that's been working, something that you're really good at. And especially when it coincides with a 2-man play, something that involves someone else, and both of you are firing on all cylinders, you don't want to change it. And when Giannis is standing there, it's like, man, am I really going to throw up a lob where the defender is Giannis Antetokounmpo? And the answer oftentimes is no. So that's a play where I don't want to say that it's because of what Milwaukee's been doing. It's just the way that the series has been unfolding. And I'm sure people could turn around and say, yeah, well, they had AD in the first series. They had 1/10 of an Anthony Davis. And realistically, he doesn't even play the 5. And then if you watch the Lakers defensive scheme, he's not by the paint as much as he was in, I don't even want to say last season, as he was in New Orleans. So that's out of the question in terms of comparison. Joker was absolutely gassed because he's playing 47 minutes and 59 seconds a game, where if he plays defense, he's going to foul out, and the Nuggets, instead of losing by 10, they lose by 30. It's just, and the Clippers had like a 5'4" Nick Batum guarding the paint. Like, it's just, they haven't gone up against someone of Giannis's stature on defense, and rightfully so. The guy's won how many Defensive Player of the Years, and how many is he going to win? He's only 26 years old, right? So it's easy to say that, well, they played Joker, they played all these guys. Yeah, but no one is to that stature of Giannis on defense, let alone the Bucks interior D, right? So I will rip on Milwaukee's perimeter defense for an hour-long show, no problem. I could tell you it's absolutely atrocious. But when you have a 6'11" NBA MVP standing there in the paint, taking away Chris Paul's primary option, that's the issue. Because when CP dishes it out to Book, he knows that he's not getting the ball back. You don't give the ball to Devin Booker saying, hey, give it back to me. No, you give the ball to Devin Booker, you're going to say, go get a bucket. You're not going to say, give it back to me. You don't give a ball to Devin Booker and saying, oh, I want it back now. No, play's been drawn up. That's it. You give the ball to Devin Booker, he's going ISO. He's finding his mid-range, or he's going to pop a 3 in front of Chris Middleton's face. And he's going to knock it down. But again, it makes their offense one-dimensional. And then when instead of, what we saw in game 1 and 2, where Milwaukee was collapsing to the paint because of Ayton, and he's finding Jay Crowder, he's finding Cam Johnson, he's finding Mikal Bridges on the outside, that allows their wings to truly defend that 3-and-D spot and defend the corner 3, because Giannis is going one-on-one on Ayton, and he's stuffing him every time. So I don't know if Milwaukee even realized that. I don't even want to give Bud an ounce of credit because guy can't coach his way out of a paper bag.
Hey, he's about to win the finals. Come on,
man.
But
that's just Giannis is about to win Giannis is about to win the finals. And even then, they're not going to win tonight, so it's fine. Chris Paul's still going to win in 7. I'm still hanging on to Miami Heat in 9. And if Miami won that series, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Miami Heat in 20. They're gonna.
We would have already. Chris Paul would have already had his ring if Miami had won that series the way that they were supposed to. But I'm still salty over that. But it's just to say that Giannis is the catalyst, and as easy as that is to say, you could say, well, yeah, no kidding, is the best player on the court, top 5 player in the league. It's not that simple. It's not, because you look at AD and he doesn't defend the paint the way Giannis does. I'm sorry, he doesn't. Watch 72 games this season. Watch 82 games last season. Watch 82 games the season before that. AD does not guard the paint the way Giannis does. Joker does not guard the paint because he can't afford to foul out. Yes, wow, CP in 7. Absolutely.
Dude, man, I don't know.
CP in 7.
I don't know.
It's just it completely changed the complexion of their offense, and they got to get back to that ball movement. Chris Paul playing hero ball and Book playing ISO. We saw when Phoenix was dominating in games 1 and 2, they were moving the ball so well that it was just out of control. Like you didn't understand how many times that ball was changing hands before it was getting into the hoop. Whereas now it's okay, Chris Paul has it. Giannis is defending that high screen, and you're like, okay, well, he can't lob it up to Aiden because it's going to be a meme for the next week. And then he can't kick it out to the corners because they're actually able to defend the corners now. And if he gives it to Book, he's not getting the ball back. So it makes their offense a bit more predictable than the way that it was, because their offense before was not too flashy. It wasn't a Brooklyn Nets offense. It wasn't a 2020 Dallas Mavericks offense. It wasn't anything like that. But it's just because of the fact that Giannis is in the paint there, it makes the options a bit more limited. And that's what's been affecting Chris Paul more than anything, in my opinion, at least from watching these first 5 games.
So let's go to the DFS showdown side of things. You know, I was talking all that crap about Chris Paul, but
puts him in the captain spot.
It's a bad play.
No, it's not. It's not. Call me crazy. The only person I'm not playing in the captain spot.
Like, they figured out Chris Paul. Yeah, no, I'm like, I'm gonna. Put
the one thing that he has locked in is Chris Paul in the captain spot. But the only captains that I am not playing, I'll go that way because it's easier to narrow down the list that way, is anybody below Pat Connaughton. So I'm not playing Pat Connaughton in the captain spot. I'll make a case for it as a devil's advocate for those that are listening, because there's only so much to talk about. But I'm not going lower than Pat Connaughton, and I'm not putting Giannis in the captain spot. You're going to tell me, how can you compare guys like PJ Tucker and all these other guys in the captain spot compared to Giannis? It's just, it really hinders your lineup construction when you end up going Giannis there. And I'm not playing anybody
Giannis
below Cam Johnson.
Completely out of the lineup, or just out of the captain spot?
No, out of the captain spot. I don't want to fade the best player on the court.
Right.
But you got to
think a lot of people are going to find
it in doubles.
Right. I feel like a lot of people are going to kind of be thrown off or put off just by the fact that his salary is so much above everybody else. But basically, no, don't put him in a captain spot because you're handcuffing yourself. But get him into the lineup some way. You have to do that.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to end up not playing the best player on the court, let alone the best player in the series, right? So to not play Giannis tonight, I get it because of the salary relief that it provides you. And personally, I haven't even built one like this, but you're probably able to get 4 out of the big guns. You're likely able to get Ayton with Chris Paul and Booker, and then Middleton and Jrue Holiday. The only thing is that, see, like, we'll use that example there, just instead of giving a million examples, that example there kind of encompasses all of them together. Is a $9,600 Jrue Holiday really going to go for 27, 5, and 13 again? That's the angle that you need to play it at. Like, is this a Giannis series clincher? Like, this was my year, I'm going to drop 40, 15, and 5? Or is it a Giannis goes 20 and 10, puts up 50 DK, and it's Jrue Holiday dropping 50, it's Chris Middleton dropping 50, et cetera, right? So you really got to plant your flag tonight more so than ever. I say that every slate, but tonight it's really like that. You really have to come up with a game script in your idea, at least from a DFS standpoint, not necessarily the entire game, but you got to have from a DFS standpoint saying, is Giannis going to go absolutely nuclear and win the championship, win game 6 at home? I don't want to say on his own, but he's going to take things into his own hands. Or is it going to be a group effort again where it's Milwaukee's, I guess I could call them a big 3. They're not, but it's like a 1.5. But it's like, is it going to be that? Is it going to be Chris Middleton taking, like, you got to think, are the Milwaukee Bucks comfortable? This is their chance to close the series. Heading into game 7 in Phoenix, it's tough.
Yeah.
So are they going to be comfortable running plays for Chris Middleton in the last 6 minutes of the game? If it's a 2-point game, Chris Middleton has to have the ball in his hands to be able to knock down that mid-range. Are the Bucks comfortable enough to do that, knowing that if they lose, they could say our best player and arguably the league's MVP did not have the ball in his hands? Right? So you got to think about these kind of things. You could say, yeah, Middleton's been opening, he's been closing games, I get it. Jrue Holiday's been good on both ends of the floor. I get it. It's completely different when the title is on the line. You got to think, if the team loses, they got to look at themselves in the mirror and say, did I do everything that I could as a coach, as an organization, as people drawing up plays to be able to make my team win? If Giannis doesn't have the ball in the last 6 minutes of the game, like he hasn't in the past 2, that answer is no. So that's where things kind of shift. You really have to come up with a plan and saying, okay, is Giannis going to go 40, 15, and 5, take over this game, drop 75 DK, 100 plus in the captain spot? I get it. Or is it going to be Chris Middleton, 30 plus, Jrue Holiday dropping 25, 5 and 10, something like that? You got to end up planting a flag somewhere and going
right. And I guess this is what I'm imagining as I build this lineup and put it exactly like this. I think it's going to be very top heavy. A lot of Chris Paul, a lot of Devin Booker, a lot of Giannis, because those are the 3 probably best players on the court at all times. And I imagine in an elimination game for the Suns, we're going to see Booker and Paul particularly over and over again. And of course, Giannis is the best player on the floor. So I am thinking very top heavy. I'm thinking those 3 players will be the top 3 players in terms of this showdown slate. And it's just, can you fit them in? Like, obviously, if I'm fitting them in, I have to put somebody like PJ Tucker in there, or put somebody even lower than that, like a Tyler Craig or a Jeff Teague. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit tough, and you got to maybe swallow a pill or 2 that you don't want to, like PJ Tucker. But is this kind of the lineup that you're talking about? Hey, if you think it's going to be just those few handful of guys in an elimination game like this, then this is the sort of lineup you're going to take.
Yeah, we'll talk about the lineup first, then we'll talk about the rotations. I'm not playing PJ Tucker. Not on the day that ends in Y.
Why not?
If it's a day ending in Y, I don't play PJ Tucker. But
so is there anybody you would pivot to that low, I would assume?
No. I'm not playing anybody below Cam Johnson, which kind of shifts the complexion of the build a little bit. So you end up seeing where I'm changing things. You got to end up coming off one of the Suns' big 3. You have to come off one of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. That, for me, is the toughest pill to swallow. To be able to do that, and you got it, and you have to slightly overpay for somebody like Mikal Bridges or Jay Crowder, which kind of go hands in hands with my props. But like you got to be able to really plant your flag, and that's the flag that I planted. I'm playing 2 out of the 3 of the Suns, and then you got to decide, am I playing Giannis or not? If you're not, you absolutely have to play Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday. Like you can't only play one. I don't want to say you can't, like it's completely impossible, but just thinking game script wise, again, I didn't build my lineup like that, but if I were to build my lineup like that, I would not play one of the Bucks' big 3. Like these guys are not going to pass the ball.
So
Jrue, Giannis, and Middleton are all playing 45 minutes tonight.
Yeah, oh for sure.
So that's
Does that mean you're
making
trying to get Middleton in your lineup, but that's also a little bit tough just because
it's a really hard pill for me to swallow because I really, really strongly dislike Chris Middleton. I'm not playing him because I'm playing Giannis. So for me, it was an easy decision, not just because of my I don't even know, it's not that strong a word. It's not a hatred towards Chris Middleton, but I don't even want to say because I dislike him that much that I play Giannis instead. It's just
you hate Chris Middleton.
I really don't like Chris Middleton. He's not a number 2 option in the NBA. He's really not. He's not a number 2 option in the NBA. I will die on that hill. No problem. I will go toe to toe with anybody that argues me that says Chris Middleton is a Robin to Giannis's Batman.
So
it's false. He's like I don't even want to say Alfred because that's disrespecting Alfred. Alfred's a legend.
That is
so like
disrespecting.
he's
Alfred's
like
great. Alfred's great.
I don't know. I don't even know what he is. He's like the back right tire on the Batmobile. Like he's not even like you don't even think about it. You don't even think about it. So that to me solved my question. I'm going Giannis.
Is this
and
lineup
mathematically? I don't have enough money for Chris Middleton. So I guess. But no, I'm not playing Chris.
So
Middleton
is this lineup more along the lines of what you would be trying to do?
It's very close. Yes, it's very close.
So you're not going to try and dig too down deep. You're trying to get most of the mid-range guys, get a couple of the top tier, but that's kind of the strategy you're using.
It is, and I know people are going to say they're probably going to have two questions, right? So what, Chris Paul or Booker?
I think Chris Paul.
We'll talk
I
about
think
that.
Chris Paul over Booker for sure.
I hedged it at the book, at the sports book. So a lot of people think hedging, they think make multiple DFS lineups, but I also do that as well. It's Tuesday. I also hedge that way at the sports book too. So we have a couple props there where you're gonna come out on top. So we'll do that. We'll get into that a little bit. First thing I wanted to talk about was quick question I think most people are thinking about. Can you play Cam Johnson or Pat Connaughton in the captain spot?
Ooh.
I have on previous slates. It's cashed, not just min cash. Like it's done well. The issue there is that there is so much upside in a game 6 for these big 6, I guess I could call it. The Suns have a legitimate big 3. The Bucks have like a big 1.5. So, but it's just there's going to be 45 plus minutes for all these guys. It's really tough to pass up. The fact that there's going to be somebody that drops 60 plus, if not multiple players, and to get 90 in the captain spot, you have a lot of ground to make up if you play Pat Connaughton or Cam Johnson in the captain spot. So for me, it's going to be a no. I don't want to say you need a lot of things to go right if you do it, because truthfully, you don't need a lot of things to go right, because you're going to load up on so many of the studs that your floor is as safe as it gets. But just think about it. Someone starting with 90 in the captain spot, man, you have some serious catching up to do. So that's why I'm not doing it. But it certainly is viable. Just personally, if you're running one lineup, firstly, we always encourage running multiple. PJ Tucker season. Yeah, when I'm dead, it could be PJ Tucker season. Or if I need to look at a closet with nice shoes in it, then it'll be PJ Tucker season. And the reason for that, which kind of brings me to my next point, was the rotations. I don't see it going past 7 on both sides tonight. I really don't. Yeah. I really don't. The title's on the line, and people could say it's obvious. People could say it's obvious.
Particularly, right? Like very desperate.
Well, that's it.
Put out over 40 minutes on both Paul and Booker. For sure.
That's it. It's people are gonna say, well, yeah, it's obvious. The Suns, if they lose, their season's done, and if the Bucks win, they win the title. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people are still gonna play Jeff Teague and all these other guys tonight, thinking that they could play a $1,000 guy that's going to get 0 points, thinking that they could jam in studs. No.
Yeah, I don't know if I can play Jeff Teague. I don't think I can do that.
It's going to be the Bucks starting 5. No,
but not Jeff Teague.
It's going to be the Bucks starting 5. You have Pat Connaughton coming off the bench, and you have Bobby Portis coming in and out just to give Giannis a bit of rest on his knee. He's, I'll probably play 15 minutes for Bobby Portis maybe. But yeah, I don't want to say I'm not buying into that, because like I've definitely mentioned that stat before. I mentioned it when it was 9. I mentioned it when it was 10. I mentioned it on your show when he was 1-11.
So
you can't, like, I'm putting aside things that I can't control. I can't control whether Scott Foster refs like as if he's wearing a blindfold. I can't control that. Whereas what I can control is that I know that Chris Paul is going to go out there and give it his all, because this is like I'm hopefully it's not, but this is likely his last chance to win a title.
So does that mean, and we'll get to the sports betting side of things, that you're maybe going on some Chris Paul props? Like, where are you going? Where are we going here, Ghost?
I'm not, because like I said, I'm getting I'm hedging things,
all
right?
that about Chris Paul and then just not take his props. Unbelievable.
I'm hedging things. Well, at least not the ones that I'm giving on the show. If you want the Chris Paul props, there are a couple. You got to come to the Discord chat, WinDailySports.com/chat. Make sure you guys come and join. But today, since we are not going to have our Plus Money action show afterwards, I decided to bring that onto here and bring only Plus Money props onto the show. So I will give 3 that I am very strongly on. If that wasn't a really well constructed sentence, but that's okay.
You did it. You got there.
These ones I'm heavy on them. So I'll start with those, and then I'll give 3 frisky ones a little bit. So first one is Pat Connaughton over 9.5 points. So many stars in this game. You're going to tell me, how are we betting props on Pat Connaughton? It's plus 125 on FanDuel, over 9.5 points. So 30 plus minutes in the last 4 games. They're now 5 games deep into the series. It's essentially the entire series. 30 plus minutes for my boy Pat Connaughton. He's hit this in 3 out of the last 4. And he's had multiple threes in all 4 games. 9.5 points. For a guy that's playing 32 minutes, am I asking him to take a million shots? No, he doesn't need to, because it's very similar to Cam Johnson type of thing, that when he takes a 3, it goes in. So Pat Connaughton over 9.5 points plus 125 on FanDuel was the one that I saw it on. Or if your book has alternate point totals, and not every book does, but if yours does, make sure you up it, because his points prop is at 8.5. So up it to 9.5 and you get it at plus 125 right now.
Any more?
I'm diving right back into it. Okay, I'll run with it.
Oh, keep going.
Second one, Jrue Holiday.
This is your show, baby. This is your time to shine. This is all you. Keep it going.
Jrue Holiday over 8.5 assists. So this is not a game log chase. For those of you that see last game and you're like, oh yeah, he got 13 assists last game, he's going to hit it. No, wrong. Do not ever take a prop like that. Please do not ever do that. It's at plus 120 right now, as long as it hasn't moved. I wrote these down at noon, so 6.5 hours ago, but everything that I saw was in the same vicinity. So plus 120, Jrue Holiday over 8.5 assists. He's hit this in 3 out of 5 in the series, with the other 2 being 7 dimes. So it's not like he dropped 2 or 3. He was very close. And a lot of those times I went back and looked. I didn't watch the entire game, but I went back and looked for some key possessions. A lot of fouls in those games. A lot. That if those were buckets, he could have easily had 12 assists. And that was just the tape that I watched. So, looking back, easily could have had double-digit assists in all 5 games in the series. He's hit this in 3 out of the last 5. 40-plus minutes in every single game of this series for Jrue Holiday. He's going to be the distributor. He has to be. Yep. So for that, over 8.5, I would have taken it as high as 9.5 to get the plus money, because I do think he double-doubles tonight. But at 8.5, it's just way too good to pass up on. And the last one, this is where I was talking about the Devin Booker hedge. Devin Booker to drop 35 or more points is plus 210 on FanDuel right now. It's very rare that you get odds like that on a guy that's going to take 33 shots tonight. 33. He has taken 61 shots in the last 2 games, 33 and 28 to be exact. And a lot of those he's gotten fouled on. A lot. They weren't all shooting fouls. A lot of them were blocking fouls, especially in the Scott Foster game, where if a guy's mid-air, apparently that's a blocking foul. So, or at least Scott Foster, that is. So he could have easily had 36, 37, 38 attempts in that game. Finished with 33, 28 in the game before that. Booked to drop 35 plus at plus 205 on FanDuel Sportsbook.
Jeez. I like that. I actually really like that one. So before we do go off the air, maybe for the last time, until we get the football season, then we're going to keep talking football. We're actually in football season, but, still have NBA stuff. Let's go through a couple lineups. We got one here.
Booker captain with
Okay, so yeah, Booker captain with Giannis, Bridges, Portis, Cam, Pat C, or Aiden captain.
I like the Aiden captain one better just because you get. I don't want to say you get another stud because it's Jay Crowder. He's not a Giannis. He's not Middleton Drew. He's not a big three on either one of them. But it's still a significant upgrade over Bobby Portis. I truthfully don't think that anyone other than one of PJ Tucker or Brook Lopez are going to leave the court tonight, and it's going to be Pat Connaughton playing 30 minutes again. So I like the Connaughton Cam Johnson combo. I'm using that in every lineup tonight. I just don't know if I want to, like, if you're capping upside by having Portis with them, it better be to have Giannis in the captain spot. And for Book to be there, I'm not saying Book's not going to have a good game. I literally just said I'm betting on him to drop 35 plus, but he's not going to drop 40, 10, and 10. Chris Paul is playing in this game. So, like, I don't want to say he's not going to do anything other than score. It's very hard to score 40 points in an NBA game, let alone in Game 6 of the NBA Finals with the season on the line. But that's what Devin Booker is going to do. I'm not expecting a 50-point triple-double from Devin Booker tonight where I feel the need to pay up for him in the captain spot. At that point, if I'm playing Portis, Cam, and Pat Connaughton, especially with Bridges, it's not Chris Paul, it's not Ayton, it's not Middleton or Drew. You still have that tier 2 guy with Portis coming off the bench. To get Booker in the captain spot, that's the part that doesn't really make it worth it for me. If it was to get Giannis, different story.
It's the same thing there. Kind of Booker in the captain spot just doesn't work for you.
Yeah, see, like, that's the thing, right? Like, and for me, it's like I touched on the Portis thing, but also the Mikal Bridges part. Like, you got to think, what does it take for Mikal Bridges to be that third or fourth guy that's really, really worth it? Well, he's gonna have to drop 25 to 30, and does that mean that Devin Booker is not shooting the basketball with the season on the line? Like, these are all things that we got to think about, right? So I get it. Everyone's prices are elevated. A lot of these guys are going to play 35 plus minutes. At least Bridges and Jay Crowder are, with Cam Johnson coming off the bench, which he's in my frisky props tonight. But I just don't see it with Book in the captain spot. Run it just in case, because there are so many different scenarios in a showdown. That's exactly what a showdown slate is. Chris Middleton could drop 40 tonight, just like he could drop 11, 6, and 6 on 20% shooting, like he did in Game 4, I think it was. That's just the nature of showdowns. So you guys can run that lineup. I'm just saying that in your higher dollar one, if you're running one main with multiple other hedges, anything like that, I'm personally not going Booker in the captain spot because, number one, I don't want Portis with Connaughton and Cam, and to have my number 3 option as Mikal Bridges or Jay Crowder doesn't really do it for me. Lopez is a no-go for me tonight because I think that
he's not going to play much.
Pat Connaughton's going to play 30 plus minutes, and they're going to play Giannis at the 5 a lot. So
that's just been the move.
That's the only thing for me.
Lopez will be on the floor for like 15, 20 minutes maybe. Like,
I'll say as high as 25. I'll give him that extra oomph.
You're being too kind.
Yeah, that extra oomph. I'll give him 25 minutes, but for me, 25 minutes of Brook Lopez is like
nothing. That's not enough.
That's like 30 seconds of Giannis. So it's going to be a hard pass for me, especially at his salary. But the rest is good.
Ghost, this may be the last time we talk about NBA this season. How about that?
It is.
It's been a good year. We might be back.
It's been a ride. It's been a ride. I really hope we're back for Game 7. I really hope we are. In Phoenix.
Bucks cover.
Oh, I got to give the frisky props.
Bucks cover. That's my frisky prop. Bucks cover. It's not a prop, but it's frisky.
So I'm not giving this out as an official play, but if you want to sprinkle your pizza money on it, or your
frisky.
Taco Tuesday money on it.
Ooh, it is Taco Tuesday. Yeah.
If you're betting the Suns, just take the money line at that point.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not. I would never, like, tonight is not a night where you bet the Suns to cover. It's Game 6. Yeah. Season's on the line. You rather take the money line.
I completely. As somebody who was Bucks covering the 5, I actually really agree with that Suns one.
Yeah, you have to. So if you're going in on the Suns, you go all in, and then you just lower your unit size because the odds are going to be that much better. And for the frisky props, where I have a bit of action on, not as much as my main 3 that I gave amongst others, but I do have action on them nonetheless. So I am going to give them out. These are ones where you go less than 1 unit on, so I'll never put a full unit on them. A unit is pretty much whatever you typically bet on a straight bet, like you bet one single thing, whether it's a parlay, whether it's a spread, anything like that. If you do $5, you could do $10, you could do $1. For some people, it's $100. For some people, it's 10 grand. Like Joel's unit size is probably 10 grand at this point after another 100K win in PGA. So shout out to Joel for that crazy win. Good job to see you on the team. Yes, of course, another killer weekend in PGA. Your unit size. Baseball picks on fastest 20 minutes in sports. I like that.
Too kind.
But that's what you gotta do. So you take one unit. That's where you typically bet. These are ones where you bet less than that. That's why we say couch change. We say pizza money, anything like that. My first one is Jay Crowder 4+ 3-pointers made. So 4 or more. You don't need more than 4. You just need 4 or more. That's plus 250 right now. So if you think Jay Crowder gets hot from behind the arc, which you're going to know by the end of the first quarter.
Right, if he is.
That's why I like that bet, because you're going to know before you go to bed. So
I like that one.
You know what I mean? So Jay Crowder, 4+ 3-pointers made is plus 250 right now. DeAndre Ayton to grab 14 or more rebounds is plus 145. So the main reason why I like that one is because he will simply not leave the court tonight. So 14 plus rebounds. If the Bucks don't shoot like 99% from the field like they seemingly have been, it only takes one game for Ayton to grab 20 plus rebounds. He's done it before. And in a game where he's going to play 45 minutes, this is the game to bet that, especially at plus money. These are all plus money, of course, obviously. We brought the plus money action over here. And then this is my favorite one. Obviously, I wasn't going to come on the show, potentially the last NBA show of the season, and not take a Cam Johnson prop. So we are going with Cam Johnson, 3 or more 3-pointers made. That is plus 275 right now on FanDuel. So we have seen that number at 1.5 since the beginning of the playoffs. Adam and I have been betting that every single game. It's been cashing out at an absurd rate. This is a game where Cam Johnson's going to come off the bench. He's going to take 4 shots. He's going to hit 4 threes. So I really do think that Cam Johnson at plus 270, it's impossible for me to add. That's about it. I didn't want to say this last part because I really, that's exactly it. Glide's got it. Like, he just nailed it. He nailed it on the head. Like, I didn't want to say this last part, not because I'm a mean person. I like to think I'm a nice person, but because I want to see you guys for Game 7. But if it is the end, thank you guys for an amazing season. Yes. It was an absolute ride. Was a blast to be here again for another year. And if this is the last show, then we will see you guys next year when the Golden State Warriors win the NBA championship.
I actually will lock that futures bet in now.
Please do.
That sounds about right, dude. I absolutely agree. Thank you, though. Thank everyone. WinDailySports.com. I only came on halfway through the season, even less than, and it was absolutely remarkable. So fantastic job all the way around from Ghost, Mike Raziel, who was doing the show. Even before then, it was fantastic year. And yes, still plenty more coming on at Win Daily Sports. This show is going to turn into a football show right after the season ends. And of course, PGA doesn't stop for anything. PGA show tonight at 8 o'clock. Joe will talk about, again, his near $1 million takedown. And he told me the story yesterday on my show. And if you didn't get that, you can hear it again. And of course, their picks and bets for the 3M Open for this week. That is it for us. Could be for the last time for the NBA season, but we'll be back tomorrow in some capacity, whether that's NFL or NBA. We'll see. Ghost, great job. We'll be back on WinDailySports.com.